Good evening, afternoon, evening.
Hmm.
Well, regardless, wherever you are in the world, this is the Hollywood Purgatory. We're back again this week. Jeffrey Harris, 411 Mania here. On the other end, we have Jay Snook of the Good Men Project, sort of our pre-WonderCon show before we head off to WonderCon. It was a little longer of a break this time, so I'm sorry about that, but we're back again. How are
It
things, Jay?
happens.
Yeah, life happens and things happen. A lot's been going on.
That's true.
Uh, we've seen some films. We've seen some more TV shows.
Hmm.
Shows have ended. New trailers have dropped. So there's lots to do, lots to talk about, and we're gonna get into all of that today. So let's just go ahead and get started. I guess the really big news this week, Jay, was the release of the new Avengers Infinity War trailer. We are just let's see. Avengers Infinity War. It got moved up a week in its release date. It's coming out in April now instead of May.
Pretty cool.
So we're less than 2 months out. We're less than 2 months out from Infinity War. We got a nice new trailer. How is this film is 10 years in the making. So how are you feeling now that we've gotten this trailer and we've seen a lot more new footage, a lot more of Thanos, a lot more bits. We've seen some. We've even gotten a little bit of Thanos versus Captain America. So a lot going on. So how are you feeling right now?
I feel pretty good. I think it looks pretty impressive, to be honest. I really do. I think it's going to be a pretty amazing. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty impressive.
Amazing and impressive. Anything else?
It's just like you get to see a lot more here. You get to see a bit more Thanos, the characters, things like that. So it's really kind of cool that we get to see all that stuff. So there's just so much in this trailer.
We get to see more of the heroes interacting. It looks like Thor gets his cape back and he gets a new weapon. He gets Stormbreaker. Interestingly enough, Stormbreaker is also the hammer / weapon that's wielded by Beta Ray Bill in the Marvel comics, and we now know that is the new weapon Thor uses in the films. And that's not a spoiler. It's that's what the toy is called. He's carrying it with the toys and the accessories and what have you. We get a nice little sort of interaction with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange where Spider-Man is like, hey, I'm Peter Parker. Doctor Strange says, Doctor Strange. His real name is Stephen Strange, and he is a doctor, so Doctor Strange, right, Jay?
Yep,
and what is Peter's Sam response?
Oh, so we're doing superhero names? Yeah, that was pretty cool. And so he does, yeah, my name is...
No, he says, oh, so we're using our fake names. Oh, I'm Spider-Man. And then Doctor Strange gives him that look. Because Doctor Strange, he thinks, what's the joke there? What's the joke?
The joke is that he thinks that he's...
He thinks Doctor Strange is his superhero name.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Do you think this will be big when you look at how big Black Panther is right now? And let's see. Let's get a little update on Black Panther because it's been number one for several weeks at the box office. Black Panther is now sitting at 578 million worldwide and counting, 1.1 billion worldwide and counting, 548 million overseas and counting. So it's on the cusp of becoming one of the biggest Marvel films ever. Is this film going to be even bigger than Black Panther?
I think it has the potential to be, that's for sure, because it looks like they're doing it right. It looks like there's going to be a lot going on here. So I think it has the potential to be just because it's been waited so long. It looks like they're going to do it the way that fans want it to be done, right?
I hope so, but do you think there's any chance this movie is a disappointment? Like a Justice League or Batman versus Superman disappointment?
I don't think so. Because lately Marvel isn't really doing disappointing films, or just not. I mean, so I don't
Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be. I mean, Civil War was amazing. I mean, even Doctor Strange was pretty good for the fact of. So
do you think it will make more than Black Panther though? Because Black Panther is probably going to easily cross over $600 million this weekend.
Probably, yeah.
So now let's just look at Avengers, the first one from 2012. That film made $623 in the domestic market, $1.5 million worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still the benchmark now, and Black Panther is probably easily going to beat the domestic market at least.
Mm-hmm.
Worldwide still might be a bit of a toss up, but it's probably going to finish well over 623 million. Do you think Infinity War can pass either of those marks? Because no other Marvel film I don't think has.
I think it has potential too, yes.
Now let's see. What did Age of Ultron do? I kind of want to go back and look at that. Age of Ultron made $1.4 million worldwide, but only $459 million domestically. So a bit of an easier benchmark. Okay, so here's the prediction. Gun to the head, does Infinity War beat Black Panther in the original Avengers movie, domestically or worldwide? What do you have to say?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Does Avengers Infinity War beat Black Panther and or Avengers in the domestic or worldwide box office?
I think it will. Yeah.
No, I think does it? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think it will.
No, I think. Take out I think. What is your prediction?
I think means yes.
So you're saying, say yes it will, not no I think.
Okay.
So what's your answer now?
Yes, it will.
Okay, yes it will. I think domestic. I think it won't beat Black Panther domestically, but it will beat the first Avengers movie, domestically and worldwide. That's my prediction, but not Black Panther. I mean, if it keeps going, it could make almost 700 million domestically at this rate. And then let's see, when does Ready Player One come out?
The 29th.
So we still got a couple more weeks for Ready Player One. That'll probably be the biggest movie, I think, until Avengers Infinity War. You think? I would say.
Yeah.
It seems to be getting good early reviews, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah.
Because it was at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, which is where I went to school, by the way. The early reviews they've been promising, and I've been hearing good things. So I would say it's been getting fairly good buzz, don't you think, Jay?
Yeah, it has. I've heard good things about it so far.
Not like Tomb Raider, but we'll get to that more a little later.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've been putting it off for a little bit, but we're finally going to get to the finale of Star Wars Rebels. I personally got to attend the world premiere of the finale of Star Wars Rebels, which was very exciting for me. It was at the Walt Disney Studios lot.
Mm-hmm.
So to be there live and in person, you had the cast and crew there. The creator Dave Filoni was there. Most of the main cast was there, and they did a Q&A. So here's the gist of it. In the series finale, we had the Ghost crew. They all sort of came back on Lothal. Some of their friends from earlier in the show came back as well, and they made a last-ditch effort. They were able to get Governor Price. They were able to capture her and sneak onto the Lothal's dome, and the dome gets launched into the sky and gets blown up. They recall all the stormtroopers and Imperial forces into that dome, or almost all of them, and so they blow it up. Thrawn comes back, and then Ezra goes onto Thrawn's ship and surrenders himself to save his friends, and then He's tempted by the Emperor Palpatine, voiced by Anne McDiarmid, who once again returns as that character. He says no. He fights some Crimson Royal Guards, which was cool. So, what did you think of this finale overall?
I think it was actually pretty interesting, and definitely not the way we predicted. That's for sure. I was definitely surprised that it didn't really go the way we thought it would. We were both wrong on
some of our predictions, weren't we?
Yeah, and what was interesting was, you know, there was definitely a lot of chaos. Saw that coming. The stakes were high. We saw that coming, but not only did things end up happier in Lothal than I thought they would, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But how it ended itself, I was like, oh, okay. I liked the ending, but
we got an epilogue. We got an actual ending, and they gave an epilogue that was set far in the future too.
Yeah, but I was confused though. Was the kid of Hera's Rex?
No.
It was Kanan.
It was Kanan's.
Okay, so they did before he died.
They were clearly in a very romantic relationship long before he died. And it's been clear since the first season. Really.
Yeah, true. But it was definitely interesting. And what was really surprising too was not as much death as we thought, which was kind of surprising of the main cast.
That's what I got wrong. I thought a lot more people were gonna die. The only people we really lost, we lost Kanan, but he died before the finale, and we lost Gregor, one of the clones.
And what was kind of cool too was we do see Ahsoka, which is kind of cool. So Ahsoka. It was cool to see her again. That was nice.
And we had just found out beforehand that she was still alive, though. So
yeah, but still, it was kind of cool to see her again. And
we only saw her a little bit,
maybe. Yeah. But it was also interesting that Ezra is still out there. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they made it clear to show that Ezra Bridger is still alive. He's lost somewhere in space. And guess who else is alive? That you were right about. So I want to give props to you because you were right about this. Guess who else is still alive?
Sabine, right?
No, Thrawn.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was still alive. Yeah.
And it's not clear from the episode, but Dave Filoni, the creator, made it clear on Rebels Recon after the fact. He says, yes, Thrawn and Ezra are not dead. So, or they're still alive somewhere.
And it was just a happier ending than we thought. We thought it was going to be really dire.
It was a pretty happy ending.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Rogue One, we thought it was going to make this horrible, dire ending where everybody dies. And no, they went a different route. And it kind of worked, really. I wasn't like, oh, they did that. That sucks. I was like, I'm okay with that ending.
For the most part.
Yeah, I'm okay with the ending.
Here's the only thing I didn't like. The whales. Those flying, they're called Purgles. They're space whales, whatever they're called. Because and it's a very simple reason. These creatures, they're able to travel through hyperspace with their bodies. They come to Lothal and they take out the entire fleet. They take out the Imperial blockade, Thrawn's fleet, and all of his ships, and then they just zip out. How is that possible?
Good question.
And did those creatures get hit or damaged at all?
I don't think so.
They took out those stormtroopers. It was like that. They had no trouble. They had no trouble with the Star Destroyers. All the Imperial ships were like tissue paper to them. We've never seen anything like that in Star Wars before, and to me, that's a little problematic. That you had because they didn't have the Rebel Alliance there to help them. The heroes, the Ghost Crew. So they got help. They were able to get help from these whales. It's a bit much. It's a bit much for me. But only thing I would say is that it's a little unrealistic that the Empire would never try to retake Lothal. But I guess they lost that whole fleet. They lost their fuel depot. So I guess that's why. That didn't happen. And since the Rebel Alliance wasn't there, that was their out that this was not really the Rebel Alliance victory. It was a victory for the Ghost Crew. So Thrawn, Ezra, we don't know where they are or what they're doing. But here's my problem with that. They were on that bridge. Remember the ship? And they go into hyperspace. How would they survive? There's no, like, I mean, does that bother you the least little bit?
It's a little weird, but you know,
because I mean, what happens if you're in an open room with no protection and you're in hyperspace? Wouldn't like what would happen to you? Like there, like you're jumping through hyperspace. There's no you're jumping through space and you're in that room. The windows are broken. Like what's gonna like what would like how would that work?
It wouldn't, because we did see that girl in Last Jedi Die doing the same thing, didn't we? She went through hyperspace on the in the ship through the ship.
But she Holdo. She jumped. She took the Radis and crashed it into another ship. So I don't know how that would work. It's so weird. What is what's going on over there?
Sorry, just kind of.
Are we playing a video game? What's going on? I need you to.
No, I'm just multitasking. Sorry.
All right. Well, I need you to.
I'm paying attention.
I'm having like a one-sided con. I need you to get more into it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally here.
All right. Well, the fact is, it was a pretty happy ending, and I'm fine with that because I think Dave Filoni. He didn't. I got the sense he didn't really want to kill off any of his characters more than he already did. I mean, I think maybe he should have killed off a couple other characters. Honestly,
yeah, true.
I wouldn't have. Like I understand. Like, oh, I don't want Rex to die because I want him to be that old guy who fought with Han Solo on Endor. Which, okay, I guess. I'm fine. I think the easiest solution would have been to have Ezra die, though, because what's the point of? I mean, in Return of the Jedi, Yoda says to Luke, "You're the last of the Jedi," right? To me, that kind of has to mean something.
Yeah.
And even though Ahsoka is not really a Jedi, and she's sort of like a Jedi. So if Ezra and Ahsoka are technically still around, it kind of makes what Yoda says not true, and that's my problem with it.
Unless he went into hiding like Luke did. I don't know.
What do you mean?
If Ezra went into hiding, maybe.
Well, he's not hiding. He's with the Purgles, lost in space somewhere. So, but I mean, Yoda knows about them, right? So, I mean, how do you rectify that?
I don't know. Like I said, it didn't fully make sense, but oddly enough, I was still satisfied with it, so that was kind of interesting.
I was satisfied with it, but I had quite a few quibbles. But the action, I'll say this: the action was great. What was the episode before Farewell? Not the last two, but the third to last. It was a 3-part finale. That had a really good fight where they were attacking their base on Lothal, and then the Ghost crew comes in for the save toward the end, and you had Hondo. Let's see, A Fool's Hope. That was a good episode. There was a lot of good action in that episode, and you had the wolves, and then you had the clones go, oh, we got the wolf pack back. That I thought was funny. And then they should have kept.
Was that the one where they took out the assassin finally, or at least caught him or something?
No, that wasn't until the final. That wasn't until the final one. They did take out that little Emperor, voiced by Warwick Davis.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Who they should have just killed. They should have just killed him a couple episodes earlier. Then they wouldn't have had to deal with that little imp anymore. Because he's really like resilient, and he almost killed like a bunch of their other friends when he came back. So
yeah, definitely.
But the epilogue took place. They jumped ahead several years.
Because it was after the Battle of Endor, right?
After all we know is it's after the Battle of Endor. We don't know if it's after the Battle of Jakku. The Battle of Jakku is when the Galactic Civil War actually ends, and that happened. That's like a year after the Battle of Endor.
Well, we heard that Hera was there, which was kind of cool. So that was cool.
Hera what?
They said Harrow actually was a part of that. She said Sabine said that, so that was kind of cool.
She said she was part of the Battle of Endor, and so was Rex. And because they say there's this kind of like this old rebel commando with a beard you can find in the background in Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. So they're saying that guy is Rex now. So.
And it was cool too. I liked what happened to Agent Callus and
they went to see the Lasat colonies. So
that was nice. I like that. That was a nice thing for them.
I like that Price, the Imperial leader, she went down with the ship. I respected that.
Yeah, it made sense.
She's like, no, I won't go with you. I'm sticking with the Empire to the end, and she went down in a blaze of glory. Good for her.
It was definitely an unexpected finale, and yet still a good finale, even though it wasn't what was predicted or expected.
Here's something you might find interesting. Do you want to know the name of Kanan's son? Kanan and Harris' son?
Yeah, I'm actually curious.
It's Jason with his C. What does that remind you of?
Sounds familiar.
Do you remember in the expanded universe when Han Solo and Leia had twins? What were their twins? Their twins were named Jason and Jaina. Jason with the C.
Nice.
So it's the same as one of the Solo twins from the old expanded universe.
Nice.
Now Star Wars Legacy. Okay.
This is one of those shows where they did a good last season. I don't know. I'm still kind of bummed it ended because it was good. They did a very good job. I mean, this is a show when I finally started watching it, I fell in love right away, and that's hard to do with this show. And I watched so many shows. Like, I was like, why hadn't I watched this sooner? I binge watched all the first 2 seasons before I got season 3, and I'm just a huge fan of the show. They did an amazing job.
Here's the trade-off here. Like, did you like Gravity Falls when that show was on?
No.
You didn't like Gravity Falls.
I just never watched it.
All right. Well, you right now, you really like DuckTales, right?
Yes.
Like, I feel like DuckTales, like they're going somewhere with that, and there's going to be a proper ending to that show. Don't you think?
Yeah.
At some point down the line.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a possibility.
So, at least with Rebels, we got a proper conclusion. We got an ending. We got to see an ending.
That's true.
With Clone Wars, we never got to see a real ending for that show. Remember?
That's a bummer.
And
I still haven't watched it, but that's a bummer.
No, I mean the show they made like they finished like their kind of like last season episodes and put them on Netflix, like the 6th season. But even then, that last season, there's not really like an actual ending or a stopping point for that show. We got a full ending and conclusion. So while it is sad that the show's going away, we got 4 seasons and we got over 75 episodes, and it was a good and like it was all good.
True.
All of it was. I mean, there were some bumps along the road, but we got a nice full show out of this whole. So we got a nice little saga here. It was like a mini Star Wars saga, or I guess arguably it was a little longer because with all the episodes we got here, we kind of spent more time with these characters than a lot of the other main characters of the Star Wars franchise. So.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So yeah, moving on from that. So that was the end of Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars Rebels. I will miss you, and hopefully Dave Filoni we'll find out what he's doing next with the Star Wars universe soon.
Yeah, he'll do something. I'm just curious what.
Oh, here's do you remember Scrubs? Do you know what's that actor?
Zach Braff?
No, not the main guy.
Donald Faison?
Donald Faison. He was at the world premiere.
Yeah, he had a back cool.
He got into the Q&A with Dave Filoni, and they had an amusing back and forth about what the next show is. It seemed to hint that the new show would maybe be Sabine and Ahsoka looking for Ezra, but Dave Filoni wouldn't confirm. But I guess that's an idea. That's one place they could go.
Not a bad idea, but I could see that being a season, but I don't know.
Here's another thing. None of this is official, but apparently there have been trademarks discovered by Lucasfilm that there's going to be a new show called Resistance. We don't know what that's going to be, but also we know Jon Favreau is directing the new Star Wars TV series. Live
so Resistance is animated, is what you're saying?
We have no idea.
Because I wonder
I
if
have
that's
no
going to be the
idea.
one that Favreau will do, because that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, for all we know, Resistance could be the Favreau series. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about Favreau doing a live action Star Wars TV series?
I think that's a great idea because really, I think he's been on fire lately. I mean, Iron Man, Jungle Book. I mean, like, he's done a really good job with what he does lately. So I
Iron
think
Man was 10 years ago.
true, but then he did Jungle Book, and when it came to Jungle Book, and of course Chef, when it came to those
Chef was
movies,
more recent, and Chef was a good movie. That was a great movie.
it was. I agree. But like, both those movies are like, when you hear about it, like, well, when I first heard about it, I was like, well, they might be good. And I watched them, like, these were not just good, these were amazing. So he's proven lately he really knows what he's doing when it comes to directing and doing stuff. So I think he'll do wonders with this.
He did direct an episode of The Orville. He directed the pilot of Young Sheldon.
And I want to say I remember. I want to say I remember that. I don't remember what episode of Orville he did, but he did do one. I want to say.
And his next movie. So it looks like he's directing The Lion King, the live action.
Yeah, which I can't wait for that.
So I imagine he'll probably direct the pilot for this new Star Wars show, whatever it's going to be. So here's my one thing: I want it to be after Return of the Jedi. I'm kind of tired of the prequel era. I kind of want us to get out of the old stuff. I want us to move past the original show. When would you like the new show to be set?
I really want it not just after the Return of the Jedi, but like maybe in that 30-year gap from Jedi to
because that's a lot of time to work with, don't you think?
Yeah, I do, and it's untapped right now. Now, of course, Disney, we know, has a couple of plans now. We know that Rian Johnson, I always say it wrong, Rian Johnson,
right,
is doing a 3-part trilogy of Star Wars movies.
And
there were 2 guys who were from Game
of Thrones creators, Benioff and Weiss. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss.
Yeah, they're doing that now. Favreau's doing something, and there probably will be some kind of animated series, if not more games too. So
there'll be tons. There's gonna be we'll be drowning in Star Wars for the next 20 years.
And was the live action
old men? We'll be old men.
Same or is that
talking
different?
About Star Wars?
Because there's the one in the streaming service too, right?
That's good. That's the Favreau. The Favreau one.
Okay.
That'll be the Favreau one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of untapped stuff there, and they would be foolish not to tap into it, especially with the fact that clearly Episode 9 is not going to be the end of the movie.
We know that. So we know that Benioff and Weiss are supposed to be doing like a series of new films. Rian Johnson is doing but we still don't know much about what those films are going to be.
True.
So I mean, they could go in so many different directions. I'm curious, but we don't know. We still don't know much about that. Okay, so another trailer we got this week was The Crimes of Grindelwald. Am I saying that right? Yes,
you are actually.
Grindelwald. So this is the sequel. What was the last one?
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Fantastic Beasts. Yeah. So this is the sequel to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So this is the spin-off series for Harry Potter.
And they're supposed to do a total of 6, but we'll see how this one does.
Written by J.K. Rowling. The first one was not that good, to be honest.
I beg to differ. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Like, I didn't think it was bad, but like, I'm like, I don't want to see 5 movies of these characters.
I don't know if they should do 5 either, but this trailer, it's because really when they were talking about doing this movie, the original one, I think it was Arthur Darvill from Legend of Tomorrow to be Dumbledore.
Jude Law is a much bigger star,
I agree, but I will say when I heard the Arthur Darvill thing, I thought that'd be a good idea. But after seeing this trailer, I'm like, you know what? Jude Law actually will probably.
Where did you hear about Darvill playing
Dumbledore? It was. I heard it online when they were still getting ready to do it before the trailer released. So it was one of those things they said. It was kind of like
it seemed like those were just rumors more.
It probably was just like when they said, Cable is going to be played by 6 or 7 different people before they chose Josh Brolin.
Right.
So, but
like there were a lot of rumors about Pierce Brosnan playing Cable, and none of that panned out.
Yeah, but like anyway,
no one picked Josh Brolin. No one was talking about Josh Brolin playing Cable.
True, no one did.
Well, what do you think of Jude Law as a young Dumbledore?
I think in this trailer it shows he's pretty good because he's not the Dumbledore we know from Harry Potter's era, not even close. And he clearly has his imperfections. Supposedly, in the expanded universe, him and Grindelwald are really, really close. Like, I mean, like I want to say almost maybe
weren't
or
they
something like that.
romantically involved?
Something like that, yeah. And so it was cool to see Newt Scamander again. It made sense because he was like, I can't go after Grindelwald, and that's probably why, because he really, really cares about him, right?
Probably.
It's cool to see Johnny Depp, as Grindelwald, and he's clearly not the Grindelwald we saw at the end of Fantastic Beasts Where to Find Them, which was kind of cool.
It looks like we saw Hogwarts in that trailer as well, didn't we?
We did, which was cool because they go there to question him about Newt Scamander because Newt Scamander is doing something
so
that the last movie,
I did like the last movie because we saw how the magic world works in the United States, and we never. That's not something that we ever saw in the older Harry Potter films. So
true.
It looks like we're going back to England here mostly, though.
I think so, and I'm pumped for this movie because I liked the first one, and I think this one's going to be better. I think just because you're going to see Hogwarts, you're going to see more of the whole Wizarding world and all that stuff, and this is like way before even Voldemort. So this is someone who I think at one time people were just afraid of as Voldemort, if not more so.
Well, let's see. Kowalski is back. Dan Fogler is back as Kowalski. So
yeah, which is cool. I like that. You see him in the trailer, which is kind of cool.
Good for him. He was probably the best part of the last movie, I thought.
Well, I thought it was that really cool twist where Colin Farrell was actually Johnny Depp. That was kind of cool, I
thought. Well, Colin Farrell was Johnny Depp in disguise.
Yeah, true. And
Zoe Kravitz is playing Letta Lestrange. Isn't Letta Lestrange? Isn't that Newt Scamander's old girlfriend? Wasn't that the story or something?
I'm not sure. I know that Lestrange might be related to Bellatrix. That maybe that's like Bellatrix's
wasn't
mom
that,
or something like that?
Wasn't that the whole didn't he have like an old flame who was from the Lestrange family?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't remember if it was Letta Lestrange.
I don't know. And then
really cool. Yeah, it was her. So this was the woman he had like a close relationship with, who was from the Lestrange family.
True.
So this is Zoe. This is Zoe Kravitz, who's I guess the daughter of Lenny Kravitz, and who was I
want to say she might have been in one of the Hunger Game movies, actually.
Was in Mad Max. I know that.
But I thought she was also in one of the Hunger Game movies. Wasn't Zoe Kravitz in one of them, I thought?
Oh, Lisa Bonet. She's Lisa Bonet's daughter.
Okay.
Who is Jason Momoa's current wife.
Okay.
She's been in a few movies. She was in Mad Max Fury Road.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she was briefly in Fantastic Beasts. I don't think she was Angel in X-Men First Class.
Oh, really?
Hunger Games, not in Hunger Games.
Okay.
She wasn't After Earth and she was in Divergent, so that's probably where you're getting them mixed
up. Yeah, that is. You're probably right. And who was she in Mad Max Fury Road?
She was one of the wives who was trying to escape.
Okay. That makes sense.
Let's see. Who else is in this film? Ezra Miller is back as Credence.
Yes.
Carmen Ejogo as Serafina Pickery. Alice Sudol back as Queenie. So,
and it'd be really good to learn more at Grindelwald, because Grindelwald is someone that I don't think, besides Pottermore, fans don't know that much about.
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot, but hopefully this will be a good chance for Johnny Depp to play a cool character again, because things haven't been going too good for old Johnny lately.
He's been hit or miss. More miss than hit. Yeah. Sadly, that's just what's happening.
Yeah, but he's also broke. He also he was spending money hand over foot. I mean, he was buying up all this property, and he couldn't really afford it anymore. So hopefully he's doing better. But this could be a chance for him to kind of get a little more stability. But we only see a little bit of him in the last movie, so that I guess this is our chance to really see him as a Harry Potter villain.
I think they're gonna have, and I think we see in the trailer too. They're trying to figure out what to do with him. Because they're we need to do something.
But when is this film set? Because didn't we see Dumbledore in the 50s in the old films, and he looked like Michael Gambon.
When we saw him.
We saw him 50 years earlier.
But when we saw him then, Tom Riddle was a kid.
Right.
So this takes place, I want to say, probably 50 years before that, I think.
Well, the first one was set in the 20s, as I recall.
Yes, so this may be, but Tom Riddle didn't come around in the 20s or 30s. He came around after that.
Yeah, so you don't turn into Michael Gambon in like 20 years, you know?
Well, that was just the guy who they had who was Dumbledore at that point. And again, he looked younger, his beard wasn't as big, but at the same time,
He
oh, did you
looks
know this too? Speaking of Michael Gambon, did you know that he also played Dumbledore's brother? Did you know that?
um in the last movie, right?
Yeah, he played Dumbledore's brother as well, but he didn't have the beard, so it's a little hard to recognize him. He didn't have as big of a role.
Okay, okay, so it was Michael Gambon still playing.
Yeah.
And Jude Law is, I mean, he's 45 years old, so he's not like a young man,
Yeah.
but he still looks young.
Mm-hmm.
He has a.
After this trailer, I'm like, I think he actually is not a bad choice for the character.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm still not sold as him as Dumbledore, even if it's a young Dumbledore, because he just looks so youthful.
Well, he kind of has to, because at this point he's still a professor. He's not even he's not headmaster anywhere close to that yet.
Who do you think is going to be the headmaster then?
Honestly, off the top of my head, I have no idea.
All right, so I
But
wonder.
I wonder that it looked like he was in the room that Gilderoy Lockhart had, so it might look like that's kind of cool.
I wonder, is he going to publish? Are we going to see his book get published this time though?
Which book?
The Newt Scamander's book.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know.
Because he was trying to finish his he hadn't finished it yet in the last movie.
And it looks like at this point he's a fugitive, so that's going to be interesting to see too.
He's why is he a fugitive though?
Well, remember when they were questioning Dumbledore, they wanted to know where he was, and it looked like he was trying to because he sees him on the. They both apparate on top of the castle. Yeah, but I think that he's a fugitive for some reason. I'm not 100%
well,
sure
that might
why.
make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
See, and so this one's still directed by David Yates, still written by J.K. Rowling. When is this? November 2018. So about some months away. All right, so moving on for that. Were there any other big trailers that were out this week? So we got Avengers and Grindelwald.
I'll look, but I don't think so. I think those were the biggest ones, but let me check real quick.
The Avengers one was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But let me see if there's anything else here. I want to say there wasn't, but let me check on YouTube real quick. No, it's Rampage. I don't really care about that. That looks stupid.
We've gotten all the Han Solo. We've gotten like all that Han Solo stuff, and that was last month. Yeah, I think those were the kind of the big trailers. All right, so
too much.
All right, so coming out today is the new Tomb Raider film. You didn't get to see this, did you?
No, I didn't. At the last minute, I wasn't able to because that's just what happened.
All right, so I saw Tomb Raider, and I'll say this: it's not terrible. It's semi-serviceable, but if you play the 2013 video game, and if you have any reference of that the rebooted games for Tomb Raider, this movie is like a very dumbed down, stripped down version of the 2013 video game from Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics. So it's the origin story of Lara Croft. So you see Lara Croft at the beginning, sort of at the beginning of her story. But what doesn't work about the movie is that it focuses on a lot about her relationship with her father, who's like missing, who went missing on like an archaeological expedition, and she's trying to find out what happened to him. That's the whole basis of the plot. And I didn't really care for any of that just because I feel like it took away the chance for Alicia Vikander to really come into her own as Lara Croft. So it was kind of, it wasn't really substantial enough for me. And the action scenes like aren't bad, but they're not like great either. They're kind of, the movie's kind of generic. Walton Goggins is, kind of like this really low key villain. Daniel Wu from Into the Badlands is sort of like Lara's sidekick, and it's just kind of like it's kind of mediocre, but not like terrible mediocre, if that makes sense. It's not as bad Alicia Vikander's husband, who was in
Mm.
like Assassin's Creed. That's a bad movie. Bad. This is not as bad as Assassin's Creed. So if it's any consolation at all, and so like, here's what's weird about what's been happening with Tomb Raider. Like, before Tomb Raider came out, like all the film people on Twitter were praising this movie, tons of positive comments, and then it comes out and it's certified rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. So I feel like, what's the disconnect going on here, Jay?
I think what's happening is, I think it's the usual formula. They really want to do these like great amazing movies, and it's just not happening. It's just what's going on. Sadly.
Why are people like talking up the movie on social media, but then they write the review and it's like media and it's like rotten? What do you think's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just one of those things that just for some weird reason happens.
Did you see A Wrinkle in Time?
I did actually, yes.
What did you think of that?
I actually thought it was good. I mean, it didn't blow my mind, but it was good. I didn't hate it as much as some people did. It was kind of interesting.
This got really bad reviews.
Yeah.
Are people being unfair because this is more of like a kids movie? So
Yeah,
people being unfair when they rate it.
It's just like when I saw that, it's weird to me that people were hating it so much. So I left going, you know what? Like the best things about it were, of course, the special effects and the costumes, of course.
Right.
But at the same time, I was like, but I didn't hate it. I left going like I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like maybe like a 7, maybe like something like that, 7.5.
Okay, so not not like 40% bad. But then again, here's the thing about Rotten Tomatoes. It's just sort of it's an aggregate score. It's of who of like, and some rotten reviews are like aren't that rotten, and some fresh reviews like aren't that glowing either. So
it's true.
So I'm not saying you should never use Rotten Tomatoes as a benchmark, but it's not like the be all end all. Like it's not
true.
Like you can't always take the final grade of a movie as sort of like the that's what the movie, like that's like your high school average score.
Yeah, true.
Like,
I agree. I totally agree.
It's not like okay, you take a test, you score 40 on your test, so that means you get an F. It's not, to me, it's never that absolute. But that's just one man's opinion. Okay.
True. I also think what's interesting is, can I talk about Love, Simon now too?
About what?
Love, Simon.
What is Load, Simon?
Love, Simon.
Love, Simon.
Yeah, that came out today too, I believe.
You see Love, Simon?
I did, yes.
This is the Greg Berlanti movie. Okay.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this movie is,
so this is about the gay kid who's like in the closet in high school, right?
Well, the basic gist of it is he's this popular kid, popular friend's girlfriend, but he has a secret that he's never told anybody. He finds a person named Blue through like one of the websites on school or something. You can anonymously post stuff. They start to talk, and it's pretty much like it's a search for love the whole way through. It actually has, I want to say it's Kanan Lonsdale from The Flash, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's an interesting movie because
one of the Flash writers and producers directed the film.
Yeah, but during the movie, pretty much he's not only kind to come to grip with who he is, but find out who this person is, go through his stuff with it, and it's just kind of like a search for love, really.
He has a connection online with this person.
And what's really cool about this movie as it progresses is, you root for Simon. You really want him to find love and happiness and be who he is. Some people accept him easier than others, but it's kind of cool to see his journey. And not only that, but the ending was wonderful.
Is this a movie about sort of like an LGBTQ romance?
It kind of is, and it's just about being who you are and finding love. Being vulnerable and. And it was just really kind of cool. I really enjoyed it more than I thought it would.
Nick Robinson. I haven't seen him. I don't think I've seen him in too much.
And I want to say the mom too. She's been a bunch of.
He was in Jurassic World. He was the older brother in Jurassic World.
Yeah, and they also had.
He was also in The Fifth Wave, but that movie was terrible.
And then they also had the mom too, was someone famous. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Josh Duhamel was his father.
Yes.
Oh, Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
Jennifer. Ben Affleck's ex-wife.
So there's a good cast. It was
Electra.
a good, fun film. It's a good love story. It kind of reminded me of. It's less graphic, but it reminded me of Brokeback Mountain just because it's a love story that, like, you want to see end happy, but this one does end happy, unlike Brokeback Mountain. But it's a really good love story. It was a really great film.
I think it's interesting because you don't see too many films or stories like this getting released.
Yeah, you really don't. No.
Even though, even in this day and age, you don't see it too often, do you?
Yeah, and it was done well. And like I said, it's just, Simon is really likable. He's someone who, even if you're not that way, you can relate to him because he's a teenager. He's trying to grow up, find himself, discover who he wants to be, where he wants to go, and find love and be happy. Pretty much, that's just what.
All right. So you recommend Love, Simon?
I would definitely, yes, I would.
Okay. So okay. So here's the other. So I want to know so we've gotten all these new trailers for the return of Roseanne, and you've actually watched the pilot now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Why should people watch the return of Roseanne, Jay?
What's nice about this show is things have changed, but they haven't changed. Like they actually do a good job right away explaining the thing with Dan, which is kind of cool. So there was a fun little joke there.
Well, they showed that joke in the trailer. He's just like, "Weren't you dead?" And like, "Why does everyone think I'm dead?" Is that it?
That was kind of actually a funny joke.
Is that all? Is that all they do?
No. So what they
How else
do
do they
is
deal with his death?
what they do is like there's one part that's really funny where he gets both their meds. He's got half the meds for twice the cost. So there's funny little jokes because like things have changed a lot, in 20 years.
Wait, are you saying they pretended he was dead to get cheaper drugs?
No. What I'm saying is that was one of the jokes in the episode, a bit later in the episode. What happened was it did go into where she did write the story, but she never sent it out and it never got published or anything, all that stuff. So they have that in there. Darlene now has 2 kids. She's got a teenage daughter and a son who is kind of figuring out his gender identity, which is kind of interesting.
Uh-huh.
DJ has a African American daughter, and he is a Iraq vet, and his wife is still out there serving her country. So that's kind of interesting. They do a good job putting both Beckys together because the girl who was the original Becky wants to help a family, have a baby, be a surrogate. And of course, the girl who was the second Becky is the one who's going to help her be the surrogate. And Mark, I guess, has died.
Wait, DJ was the son.
Yes.
So what happened to his wife?
She's still alive. Like he just he's an Iraq vet and she's still over there.
And where is he?
He's at home. He's at home.
Is he a stay-at-home dad or what?
We don't know too much from the pilot.
Does he live with his parents? What's going on?
No. The only one who lives with the parents is Darlene moves back in because she loses her job and her marriage goes poof, which we think is to David, but we don't really know yet.
Okay.
But and so she's had 2 kids and she's trying to get back on her feet, and of course, Dan and Roseanne are retired and
So Darlene and David are not married, is what you're saying?
I think they got divorced, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
We don't really know fully yet.
Are any of the kids
we also see in the pilot Aunt Jackie and Roseanne aren't talking to each other because of something, which basically is she feels that Roseanne is bullying her, and in the last election she voted for Jill Stein, so she feels like she got bullied into doing that. So it's an interesting pilot. They do a real good job. Yeah, that's what happened.
That's what they're angry. That's what they're angry with each other about.
Not just that, but just like that she feels like she's being bullied by her sister still, and she's sick of
it. Is Roseanne bullying her?
She just always kind of has. If you watch the old show, she always kind of did think she was better than her because her life's a bit better than Jackie's. Because
is Jackie married?
The husband had the kid, but the kid, her and the dad didn't work out. She got with one guy at one time who was physically abusive. So there's been, it's kind of like Roseanne's been the better of the 2 siblings. Kind of how it's been. On the show anyway. So the nice thing about this pilot is
apologize at least.
They work it out. They work it out at the end of the pilot. But what's nice about this pilot is you get to see the
Wait,
whole
so
cast back.
Roseanne made Jackie vote for Jill Stein?
No, she just felt like she got like it was like she said that she went into the polling booth and she did that because she was nervous or something. So
Who did Roseanne vote for? Donald Trump?
I don't think so. No.
They don't talk about that at all?
Not really, but what's interesting about what's good about this pilot is
you're not selling me, Jay. I got to tell you, you're not selling me on this show right now.
I know, and I'm trying to tell you, that what's good about this pilot is all the Connors are back, the house is back, things have changed, but they haven't changed, and
what has changed?
Well, of course, the family is older. Oh God, Becky, does have a job. Darlene's kind of trying to get back on her feet. And there's the new dynamic of the grandkids now, so that's a new dynamic, which is Darlene's 2 kids. And
okay.
It's nice to see that, they're still kind of imperfect. But
what does David do?
We don't really know yet. We're not sure. We haven't.
Is he in the pilot?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
And what this show really is, I'll say this: the show isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a perfect pilot, but so far, what I've seen, because I've actually, I've actually watched the first 2 episodes, which both air on the 27th, I believe. There's 2 episodes that air on the 27th.
Is this better than Fuller House?
What?
Is it better than Fuller House?
Yeah, I will say that. It's not as painful to watch as Fuller House. I won't say it's always funny. There's some jokes kind of fell flat to me, but there were some that were funny. But it was nice to see the Connors back, and it was nice to see the show back. So it's better than Fuller House. I'll say that. It's a show that, from what I've seen so far, I like watching it. I do want to know a bit more about it and see where it goes next. So I think it has the potential to be really great after these first few episodes.
All right. Did you watch any of the first season of Fuller House or?
Yeah, I've watched all the seasons of that so far.
Full House. I never thought Full House was it was a family sitcom.
Yeah.
Right. And then Fuller House, I didn't keep watching it, but I'm like, oh, okay. It's the same show, right?
No, the problem with Fuller House.
Let me finish. It's the same show, but the kids are adults now, and now it's the same thing, but it's the daughter's story now. It's now them living together and dealing with raising their kids and stuff. It's basically it's like that show continued, 20 years later, and now the girls are grown up, and now they have their kids. So that's the gist of the show.
Yeah, true.
So you're saying Roseanne is different?
It is, yeah.
And why is it better?
It's better because first of all, it's not predictable. Fuller House, almost from the get-go, has been predictable.
Okay.
You know that DJ and Steve are going to end up together eventually. They're trying to stretch it out and not yet, but you know it's going to happen. And that show, Fuller House, even though I've watched all the seasons, it's painful to watch. It's not a good show.
I guess with Roseanne, the gist of it is you're saying it's still the same show. They're just a little older, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're a little bit older. It's not always predictable what's going to happen next or what's going to go on next. It still had the first few episodes aren't perfect, but I did enjoy watching them.
How many episodes did they give you of Roseanne?
I've actually watched the pilot 2 or 3 times, and I like it. It's a good pilot. It's a good start for the show. It's a makes sense start for the show. Where the pilot of Fuller House was basically just an absolute revamp of the Full House pilot, and they actually show parts of it right next to each other.
Okay, so
it was a very cheap pilot. This was at least not a cheap pilot.
So this one comes out March 27th. Is this what? How are they releasing this?
Is
it ABC?
Yeah, ABC.
Huh. So I guess this can kind of replace Last Man Standing. Did you ever watch that show?
I haven't, but I've heard it's good.
That was sort of like a similar family dynamic kind of sitcom, but it was just it was Tim Allen, who's like this ultra conservative dad. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, to end with this show, it's not a bad start for it. I hope it gets a bit better as it goes along, but it's not a bad start. That's for sure.
I'm not gonna watch this series, Jay.
It's okay.
Why? I've talked so much about Roseanne on this show because you're a fan. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy because it's Roseanne.
Yeah.
I hope you're happy. We keep going on these Roseanne tangents. Did you watch any of season 2 of Jessica Jones yet?
I haven't had a chance to.
Okay.
It's on my to-do list because I want to finish it. Because I really liked the first one. I
First
really
season
did.
is very good. Let me just say it's nowhere near as good as the first season.
And that usually happens, though.
Um, is it the worst Marvel show I've ever season? I don't think so, but it had a lot. It had a lot of problems. So I guess what's weird is like the acting is good.
Mhm.
Like the acting and performances are really good, but the writing needed a lot of work this season. So I won't get much into it more than that. Okay, so moving on. So your TV shows. So what's going on with Grownish and Beyond this week?
Let me check because I know I've watched. I think there's actually probably 2 episodes you catch up on because we haven't done this for like a week and a half.
Just
So
give us the latest stuff. What's the
yeah, that's what I
latest?
mean. The latest is the 2 shows. So first of all, Grownish. The most recent Grownish episode I watched was there was technically two because I didn't talk about it's hard out here for a pimp, right? I didn't talk about that
I
one,
don't think so.
and so it's a weird name, but what that one was basically about was the difficulties of dating in college was what it was, and it was interesting because we had um, we had Zoe where she's just kind of like not really trying to date much at all at this
Mm.
point. There was the two twins, Sky and I can't remember the other girl's name, who said it was really hard to be a black woman because a lot of guys didn't want to necessarily date black women. They wanted to date like, especially even black guys wanted to date white women. So they said it was kind of weird, and they went on like where I think
Oh.
Teresa was one of them said yeah it was kind of so it really talks about in a nutshell about the awkwardness of dating in college, and now of course with like Tinder and all those weird apps, it makes it harder, not easier, and it's harder to meet real
Did she
people.
use Tinder? Why not use Tinder?
I want to say they tried, but this didn't ever seem to have much
You
luck.
know
It
what
was
they
something
call
Tinder
this,
like.
Jay? You know what they call these things? These are first world problems.
Yeah.
These are millennial problems.
But the episode was kind of good because Zoe is Zoe kind of took a back seat on that episode. It was kind of interesting. So it was Jazz and Sky. That's what they were called. So it was more about them, about trying to get in their stride in college, like and trying to date and get out there, and they were having a really hard time. So that was what that one was about in a nutshell. It was kind of cool to see them take more of a front seat and Zoe take a bit more of a back seat because usually Zoe's always been front seat so far. So it was cool to see that dynamic change a bit, learn a bit more about them.
Does Zoe have a boyfriend?
No, not anymore. She did for a while, but since that ended, she's kind of been just getting over that. And you see her and Luca, she still has her internship with the one fashion magazine, so she's still doing that. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, like Devil Wears Prada.
And so basically, that was a good episode. So we got to see kind of Zoe take a back seat for the first one, which is kind of nice.
What about Aaron?
Aaron and her so far, nothing has really happened out of it yet. They're still kind of like, she kind of still figuring out what she wants because she knows she wants to really get this internship right now and do well in school. And there's something that could be there for them, but we haven't really seen much of it yet. But getting to Aaron, though, they have the second episode, Safe and Sound, which aired actually 2 days ago, was really interesting because it talked about they have this place called Hawkins Hole where a lot of the African American students go to hang out. They can be themselves, safe space, all that stuff. And what's happening is I guess some students are getting irritated because well, why don't we get to be there? Why don't we have safe spaces? So it causes Aaron decides that he wants to keep it going, and then there's another group who wants to like try to get their thing going, and there's difficulties there and issues and problems, and it's really kind of interesting because we get to
I'm never gonna watch this show.
Yeah, it was just an interesting dynamic to see because we get to see that go on.
None of this sounds all that interesting, to be honest with you.
I'm not always the best explainer of this, to be flat out honest, and it's hard to get
let's see. So this is a spin-off of Blackish, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. See, I never connected that dot, but I don't watch Blackish either.
I never have either, but this show is really more about the college experience so far. Is what I like, and we get to see Zoe grow a lot, and it kind of what's really interesting about this episode, Safe Space, is toward the end because some of her friends are kind of fighting because some believe this, some believe that. She kind of just goes, "Look, you guys can believe what you want to believe, but don't be a-holes to each other. Come on, we're friends. This is not how we should be acting." And she kind of like for this one is kind of the mediator, just like getting all her friends back.
Yeah, just like I don't hold it against you that you like Roseanne.
Yeah. So that's really in a nutshell about that episode.
I think people take people's opinions too seriously these days.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have we don't have to agree. Like, all right, people don't like The Last Jedi. Okay, I like The Last. Like, we don't have to fight each other over like opinions about everything. I think that's somewhat interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then the 2 episodes of
Chris
Beyond.
Parnell. How is Chris Parnell on this show? I like him.
He's the dean.
He's the
right?
Dean
Yeah,
Burt
he's
Parker.
been pretty good so far. He's been pretty good so far. He's kind of like that imperfect dean where he kind of wants to be cool, but he also knows he kind of has to be, an authority figure.
He's been showing up in a lot of stuff.
And in Safe and Sound, he kind of has to be the authority figure. He doesn't necessarily like it, but he kind of has to be because he's like, look, I'm sorry this is happening right now. And really, Zoe's the one in the end who kind of like, talks about, hey, bring back Hawkins Hall, don't shut it down, and kind of like, gets it all worked out. So that was kind of cool.
Do you remember that other sitcom about like the suburbs that was on a little while back?
Can't say I do. No.
It was with Jeremy Sisto.
What
was that called? Suburgatory. Did you ever watch that show?
What was it called?
Suburgatory.
No, can't say I did.
Okay. That was sort of a short-lived sitcom that was sort of on for a little while. Had a decent cast. All right, so now let's move on. So how is Beyond this week?
So Beyond, there was 2 episodes again, and first of all, this episode is there's I Scream, You Scream, which what happens here is I believe Diego got a number of the other people who were in cryogenic, who were supposedly in the and it's not the Expanse, what was it called? In the realm. Come back, but they're all evil now. What's interesting is, what's really interesting about this episode is, do you remember Dead Man on Campus? You remember that movie?
Yeah.
The guy who did the weird thing with his tongue?
Yeah.
The weird one. The one who, was kind of like the stupid stoner jock they wanted at one point to, get him on,
Lachlan Monroe? That actor?
Maybe. He was also in the Night at the Roxbury. He was the freaking trainer in that.
Okay.
He's also in Scary.
I think he was also in Scary Movie, right?
Yeah, you're right. He was.
Lachlan
on
Monroe.
This show, which is really cool.
So he's in this series.
Kind of cool.
So you're saying he's in this series?
Yes, he's in this series now.
Okay, as who?
So in this episode, we see where Holden wants to try to, with Jeff and Charlie, go in and finally meet Edgar. Is what they finally do. Finally meet him, see who he is, see what his options are, and what's really going on. And I think this is where we found out that Edgar is a good guy and Diego is a bad guy. There's actually was a moment where Holden's dad beats up the pastor because the pastor who was the pastor of Hollow Sky, by the way, which is an organization that's trying to do this whole realm stuff anyway, right? So Pastor Ian's not a good guy anyway. He had a video camera in the house, and when the dad found out about this, he did beat him up. So he went to go turn himself in and ends up in jail. And Diego is also in jail. And his dad meets Diego and finds out, Diego wants to hurt his son. And he's like, I can't do anything about this because, well, I'm in jail. And I think this episode ended with Diego getting broken out of jail, him and his cronies, kill all the people in the jail. And his plan gets set where, he's going to go after Holden, right? So that's what happens on this episode in a nutshell. If you find out, that, what Diego's planning, that his cronies are actually, a pretty good evil army because they're all supposedly monster type things that came back from the realm, is what it supposedly is. And it was something that Holden did at the end of last season where he broke this bridge thinking it was to make everything better, and it's not. And I think we also found out in this episode that Nick Frost is still alive, which is weird because we thought at the end of last season he was gone, and he's not. He's still around, which is kind of interesting.
So are things moving and picking up this season?
Absolutely. I mean, it really is. And in Ice Cream, You Scream, yeah, we get to see this happening, and all of that, which is really kind of cool.
It's heading toward the finale.
It's getting towards it, yes. And then the next episode, which was just called FGB,
that was on yesterday.
Yes, but this episode was.
So this is the penultimate episode, basically.
Almost. There's one more after it. But what happens?
Yeah, well,
this
penultimate
thing,
is the second before last.
Yeah, what happens is they broke out Edgar, and they found this because they had found earlier this ice box that had Edgar's name on it. We found out in here that Edgar is like, this can take you back to the realm, but only Holden can use it. So they go into this like house. They fake that they're like gas people, and they're like, hey, there's a gas leak in your house. Your mom and kids need to leave because it was Edgar's old home, right?
Right.
And so they go to the basement. They set up the whole room and everything, and set him to go to the back to the realm. So this is the first time Holden's been back in the realm in like I think the whole season. He hasn't been in the realm the whole season. And so
what
in this
happened when
episode, he goes back to the realm. The realm is very different for starters because he starts in the ocean. He ends up he swims to a beach, and he's not sure what's going on here.
Here's my question: what is the realm?
The realm is basically a place where
is it another dimension or what?
It's sort of. It almost seems more like it's almost like a purgatory. It's almost what it seems like.
Like they've discovered purgatory.
Kind of, because what happens is Holden originally ends up in the realm when he was in a coma, and that's usually when people end up in the realm when they're in comas or something like that, right? That's when they go there, and they don't really know they're going there.
So is this organization like trying to get in, like go from purgatory into like heaven or hell?
I think what Hollow Sky wants to do is they want to use it, like maybe to give people powers like Holden has. Maybe we're still not 100% sure, but we do know that something has gone wrong with Hollow Sky because like what they planned on doing is clearly not going the way they thought it was going to go. But they want to get benefactors. They want to get people, and they tell people.
What does Holden want?
Holden himself, on this episode, he wants to go back to the realm and fix whatever mistake he did there because he's kind of why Diego and his cronies are able to come out of the realm and doing what they're doing, right? It's kind of his fault, in a manner of speaking.
So he wants to stop Hollow Sky, is what you're saying?
No, what he wants to do is, at this episode, he wanted to fix the damage he did in the realm.
What does Holden ultimately want, though? What is he looking for?
Ultimately, he wants to fix what happened in the realm and make sure whatever bad is going to happen doesn't happen. So that's why he goes to the realm on this episode.
Something bad, like what? The end of the world, or what?
It seems like what Diego and his men want to do. We found out is he wants to pretty much like make the whole world burn, pretty much, including his family, his town, all that. Right?
So they want to take over. They want to take over the world.
They want to destroy the world. That's what they want to do. And so,
are they human or are they something else?
There's something else. There's some kind of like monster from the realm that's taken human over their human bodies.
Ah, okay.
And what's really interesting on this episode too is when he goes to the realm, he sees Nick Frost. We haven't seen again since the finale of last season. We haven't actually seen Nick Frost in a long time. So that was really kind of cool to see.
What is Willa Frost to Nick Frost?
His daughter, actually.
Okay.
But
what does Nick Frost want?
Nick Frost, I think what he wants to do is he wants to try to use that, like what Hollow Sky says is if you give us so much money and you go into this cryo thing, you can see your loved one again. That's what they say. But I think what Nick Frost wants to do is try to get his wife back, who I think she supposedly died or something, but he thinks she's still in the realm. So I think that's what his ultimate goal is.
Okay.
And what's interesting is we learn in this episode pretty much as it goes along, especially comes to this conclusion that, okay, everything in the realm might be okay now, but that's only the beginning. Edgar even says, hey, now the real battle is going to begin. He says something like that.
So the next week will be the season finale.
Okay. Yes. And what's going to happen is it will probably be like, and what's interesting too is they want Edgar to stay with them, but Edgar wants to go back to the mental hospital because that's been home to him now at this point. Because what Edgar's power is,
this is a weird sounding show, Jay.
It seems weird, but it's really cool where it's going. But it's a lot more mystery, like what's going to happen next. Is what
all right.
So when it comes to Edgar, because Holden can do some telekinetic stuff when he got out of the realm, for some reason he has that power. Edgar can actually cause fires with his mind.
He has like fire kinesis.
Yes, pyrokinesis. He has
pyro.
And so he was the first person that Holden had met where it's like, hey, and earlier in the season he had said he wanted to talk to Holden Matthews. When they finally met, that was kind of cool to see and how much helpful they were to each other. And then of course Diego wants to destroy Holden Matthews. So Diego bad, Edgar good, big battle probably coming. And At the end of this episode, Hollow Sky is kind of in ruins because, after these guys breaking out all the damage they're doing, they're like, we're going to have to regroup and figure out what to do next.
Are the creatures that came from the realm, are they demons, you think?
There's something like that. I mean, we saw at the end of the first season, there was, because we...
Are they aliens from another planet?
We're not sure. I think there's some kind of demon monster or something like that.
Like demons from hell, or like the Old Testament or something.
I don't know. I just know that in the finale of the first season we saw where Nick Frost thought he saw his wife, but it was some demon that had worms coming out of its mouth.
Ew.
And the reason that Holden broke the bridge is just like, these things are going to try to cross over. He thinks if he broke a bridge that, like, led from the realm, supposedly maybe the afterlife or something like that, that he could stop them from coming. And sadly, clearly what he didn't do that.
All right. So some other TV news. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. So this is third season of the animated Guardians of the Galaxy TV series. Premieres this weekend. Marvel was nice enough to send me the first 2 episodes to review them. So basically, Mission Breakout is the new Disneyland theme park attraction based on Guardians of the Galaxy. So basically, they've themed the new season after the theme park ride. So it starts off in the first episode. They are prisoners in the Collector's Collection at his sort of museum building that looks just like the building from Disneyland. So they have to fight their way out of this, out of the Collector's exhibit. There's an extended cameo, Stan Lee playing himself.
Nice.
It's very funny. There's an image. So if you like, so Stan Lee, who's voicing himself in this episode, and it was funny. It's not a lot of changes. Here's what's cool though. So in the first episode is basically the Mission Breakout episode, and they kind of move on from that. The second episode, they go back to Earth and they team up with or rather, well, they get a distress call from the Avengers back on Earth, and a symbiote that Thanos had escaped, and they run into Spider-Man. So so you have the Avengers, you have the Guardians of the Galaxy, you have Spider-Man, and a symbiote. So and the Spider-Man basically is the new one from the Marvel Spider-Man TV series, as confusing as that is. So we get Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and Spider-Man, and well, not a Venom symbiote, but a symbiote like Venom, all in the second episode. So, I mean, do you like the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series, Jay?
I did so far. When I saw season 1 and 2, I really enjoyed it. So yeah,
it's pretty much more the same. Even though they're calling this season Mission Breakout, it's not all that different, and it looks like they're already done with the whole Mission Breakout. I feel like they could have done like a mini series out of Mission Breakout. Honestly, like I think you could have done like 3 episodes from that, but they only do. It's just 1, and they have scenes in there that are clearly inspired by the ride. But the best part, of course, is that Stan Lee, I won't say what Stan Lee does, but I would say at least watch a season premiere on Sunday just to see Stan Lee in this cameo, because it is very funny. So, all right. So now we're going to do some home video stuff.
Yep.
So you got Jumanji on Welcome to the Jungle on Blu-ray. So why don't
it's
you
actually on DVD? It's not on Blu-ray, sadly.
Well, it's the home video. That includes Blu-ray, so it's kind of all same umbrella. So tell us about that.
So basically this movie, and it's an interesting story how I got it, was I guess when I did my review on the Good Men Project when it was in theaters, someone really, really liked it, and they liked how much I enjoyed it, which I did enjoy it. They wanted me to interview Bobby Cannavale, who is the bad guy.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'd like to, but my work schedule, I don't know if I can, right? But I was like, could I get a review copy? They're like, absolutely. So they sent it to me. I've watched about half of it so far, and I just really love this movie. This movie is amazing. It's got a bunch of wonderful video game, jokes in there and humor and, tidbits and stuff like that. It's really cool to see the cast play such different roles than what they're used to. I mean, when I saw the, posters and the first trailers, like, oh, it's going to be those guys. That's going to be weird them doing that, but it works really well in my opinion. And Rhys Darby as Nigel is absolutely hilarious, and I just really, really like this movie.
What kind of extra, like, do you get commentary and stuff on
Yeah,
this?
there's Gag Reel, which I'm looking forward to watching. Meet the Players, a heroic cast, Attack of the Rhinos, Journey Through the Jungle, The Making of Jumanji. There's some good special features there, that's for sure. There really are. So, you know, you get to see a bunch of that cool stuff.
I got my Last Jedi Blu-ray from Disney and Lucasfilm. I haven't really fully dived into it yet, but it does have. I did watch the deleted scenes, which were all some more interesting than others, but I don't really miss too much from the. I think there's one good scene that's sort of like you get the whole Phasma Finn fight that I think should have been in the film.
Okay.
That scene's already been released online because it kind of we don't get a whole lot of Phasma in these movies, do we?
Not in this one. No, we got more of her in the first one, but not too much in this one. No.
I mean, like, this is her one chance to really fight, and they cut most of it out. So I didn't really like that.
So most of the deleted scenes, you thought it was good they were deleted, right?
There's this really weird scene, just to give you an example, where Rose and Finn are, like, after they're taken prisoner by the First Order. Domhnall Gleeson, who plays General Hux, remember him? He, like, puts his necklace around her head, and he he's messing around with her, and he like cups her chin with his finger, and then she bites his finger. And I'm like, it's so goofy. It's like, it's dumb. It's like, it looks so, it's very silly and weird, and I'm like, There's another scene with like, Luke tricks Rey into thinking that the island is being invaded by pirates, and the people are being killed, like the little caretaker creatures. So then Rey is, like, running along the beach to see what happened, and it's just the caretakers having a party, like having like a luau. So, like, Luke tricked her, and, like, Luke is like, that's what the Resistance needs. It needs people who will, like, spring into action without a second thought, and it doesn't need like old religions and people like me for help. And then Rey gets really ticked off, and I don't know. It's like, this was like Luke talked about, I'm going to teach you 3 lessons, and this was the 3rd lesson he talked about. And to me, it's bad editing that he's like, I'm going to teach you 3 lessons, and you don't even show the 3rd one. So it's an interesting scene, but it just kind of, it ends on an awkward note. So, and there's a lot of extra stuff on there. So
they do a lot. The Disney likes to do extra stuff. They do a lot.
There's honestly, there's a very, I mean, because of the extras alone, I would say yes, get this. I mean, especially, I mean, if you like The Last Jedi, I mean, if you didn't like, maybe don't. But, like, if you like The Last Jedi, if you like Star Wars, I would say, yeah, go get this home video release.
And it's the first one on 4K Ultra, I think, too, which is kind of cool.
I'm trying to. Did they do Force Awakens on 4K?
No, they did not.
So yeah, but I didn't get this one on 4K Ultra, but I did get it on Blu-ray.
Understandable.
Because I don't have. I mean, you only get 4K if you have a 4K TV.
True. They give me some copies of 4K.
Do you want to help? Do you want to help? Do you want to help a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo campaign, so I can get, like, a nice 4K setup for you? No.
But I've gotten 4Ks for the Blu-ray on it too.
Okay, so apparently they might really. So they released The Last Jedi. So they haven't released. No, they haven't released The Force Awakens in 4K yet. I wonder why. I guess they're waiting on that. So one last thing I kind of wanted to talk about. You know how Amazon is producing a Lord of the Rings TV series? So they're doing that. So Reuters had a report on this TV series. So let me see here. And there was some pretty interesting. Okay, here's what I want to read from this report on Lord of the Rings. So in November, Amazon announced it will make a prequel to the fantasy hit The Lord of the Rings. The company had offered $250 million for the rights alone. Production and marketing could raise costs to $500 million or more for 2 seasons. So Amazon is going to spend up to $500 million to make a Lord of the Rings show. What do you think about that? That's $500 million.
Yeah, that's kind of odd, but I don't know.
So they had to pay $250 million to get the TV rights.
Wow,
that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Amazon really do you think this is a gamble that could pay off for them, or what do you think?
I don't know. It's tough because the first 3 movies were good. The Hobbit ones, and they have never really done a show, so it's a risk. It is. It's a big risk. We'll see if it pays off or not, but I don't know. That's a tough one.
See, did you ever watch The Man in the High Castle?
No, can't say I did.
So let's see. At $500 million, the Lord of the Rings prequel would cost triple what Amazon paid for The Man in the High Castle. So let me do the math really quick here because I'm bad at math.
Mm-hmm.
So Man in the High Castle costs like $167 million or something. Now they're talking about $500 million for Lord of the Rings. That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Do you remember the old Lord of the Rings, the movie trilogy? Not The Hobbit, but Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I do.
That cost about $300 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems risky, Jay.
It does. I agree.
I mean, Amazon. I mean, they have the money, I guess, but to just drop, that's $500 million. So just say we're spending $500 million on even though it's Lord of the Rings, because this is going to be a subscription TV series. Like you're already paying for Amazon Prime if it's going to be on Prime Video. But
is there a chance we can talk about the whole Toys R Us news?
I mean, we can. Toys R. I mean,
it's just big news, and it's kind of a shock just because of the fact that I think they were like $4 billion in debt, $1.4 billion in debt, or something like
that. They're past debt. They're bankrupt, man. They're going into liquidation.
I think that was such big news this week because
it's our child. I mean, it's this is culture, man. This is American culture right here.
And it's so weird to hear this place going. They're all just going under. It's insane. I guess this was someplace I didn't think that would happen to.
This was the biggest toy store chain in the world, and now it's gone.
It will be.
Some stores are still open. I've checked a couple stores near where I lived, and they're still in business. I'm hearing that vendors are repossessing some of their stock of and I think some stores are already they're going into liquidation sales,
which wouldn't surprise me.
Going out of business sales. It's disappointing, man.
It is. It really is. It was actually a big shock. I think that was one of the more shocking stories where I'm like, oh man.
I'm not going to call this heartbreaking, but it's disappointing. It's sad.
Yeah, it's a bummer, that's for sure.
33,000 people are going to lose their jobs here.
Yeah. Now, on a happy note, though, we'll end on a happy note. We are going to be at WonderCon next week. I think we want to try to do.
I don't know how I'm going to get over this, Jay.
Well, with WonderCon, I looked today. There's a lot of amazing stuff. They're premiering Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay. They're premiering Bat Ninja.
And Teen Titans. And Teen Titans Judas Contract.
The first episode of Cloak and Dagger is going to be there, which is really cool.
No.
So they're going to show that way before June. They're actually going to have the first episode of what was it? Where Nathan Fillion. No, yeah, that's right. I saw today they're doing the first episode of season 2 of Lemony Snicket, the series of unfortunate events, and Nathan Fillion's going to be there for that, which is really cool.
Judas Contract was last year. Never mind.
They're also doing Saturday. They're doing a Ready Player One where all the 5 main players are going to be there, and Ernest Cline. So that's really cool.
They're going to have AMC's new miniseries, The Terror. They're going to have a setup there for that.
They're going to have that. They're going to have Reverie, which is NBC's doing some new show that sounds kind of interesting.
Right.
They're doing a
lot more. They have a lot more TV stuff than movie stuff, really.
Yeah, this year they have a lot of stuff when it comes down to TV. New episodes of shows. Now, what's really weird this year, though, I saw nothing on Voltron, which is kind of weird. That's like the first year they've done that, I think. I think every year we've been there, they've had Voltron stuff. So
because you know why? Because they just premiered season 5.
Well, it's not just that. Maybe it's just got one last season in it. Maybe that's the reason why. It seems weird, right?
I don't think it's weird because, I think they just had it, and they're probably still working on the last set of episodes or whatever.
Maybe it was just, to me, I thought that was odd because there's always been.
I don't think it's that odd.
No Voltron to me is odd.
They'll probably waiting for Comic-Con. Who knows? The thing is, you can't have everything every year, you know?
True.
But
they're going to have a lot of amazing stuff this year. It's going to be nuts. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. Honestly, I really am.
Okay.
You know, so I think it's going to be a blast. I can't wait.
I'm looking for. I think there's going to be some stuff with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and probably the finale.
Yeah, that panel I went to last year. That panel was unbelievable.
I think there's going to be
It was Clark Gregg's birthday, so he had a birthday cake. I mean, like, yeah, they did the first episode of the where'd they go? God dang it, that VR place they went to. What was it called? I can't remember.
In the series?
Yeah, like that. That was the first episode where you saw them, like where it was Agents of Hydra, where they were in the framework. That's what it's called.
The
framework, and that was the first episode where you got to see them in the whole framework as Agents of Hydra. That was really cool to see.
All right, that was from last season.
And I need to catch up on that show. I'm like 2-3 episodes behind, but it's been a pretty good season so far. Me
too. So we got that. We got lots of new TV episodes coming. Next week, I will be reviewing Pacific Rim Uprising. So that'll be right before WonderCon.
Yeah, I'm going to be reviewing Isle of Dogs. I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday. That looks like it's going to be really
I was supposed to get that on Monday, but I think it filled up too quickly. So I don't think I'm going to get.
He's usually pretty good.
I didn't love Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I thought
me neither.
But I thought it was decent.
But I did like Grand Budapest. Grand Budapest was awesome. I loved.
But this is another stop motion animated film like Fantastic Mr. Fox. So
yeah.
I think him doing another film like that is very, because everyone's just doing CG animation these days. So I mean to still do stop motion animation, I think is pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that film, and of course we have Ready Player One coming out very soon. So
we'll see that on not next Monday, but Monday after.
So yeah, we'll hopefully see you at WonderCon, folks. So you can check me out at 411mania.com. Check out my review of Tomb Raider and some other projects I have coming up. And Jay, what about where can people find you online?
On Good Men Project, you can find me there. I'm going to be doing a review of Jumanji this weekend, and also Vanishing of Sydney Hall, which was an amazing movie. So I'm looking forward to writing about that. So
is your review of Love, Simon going to be on there?
Probably not that one. No.
Okay.
Not. But yeah, I don't do
anyway.
Reviews lately, but I'll have some good stuff on that.
You should review Love, Simon anyway.
And also probably the next episode of Deception too, because that airs on Sunday. So probably
so looking forward to that. Everyone have a good weekend. Jay, you have a good weekend, and everyone, we will hopefully see you at WonderCon. So everyone have a safe weekend and take it easy.
All right.